And in this part, prisoners are given, participants that enroll in the program are given training courses, and upon the moment that they're going to be released, they are also provided with documentation that they would need to be able to get a job. So California IDs, birth certificates, social security cards, things like that. And the second part of the program is the community employment program. This takes place within the 6 months after their release, where participants are connected with one-stop career center locations in their communities. And in these centers, they are provided with essential job prerequisites, such as resume building, trade certificates, and interview skills. So in essence, the New Start program is an umbrella employment program that offers a broad range of training and job opportunities based on the labor market demands, targeted to include more people. So, So what I did is I looked at the methods that I used in my project were content analysis, and I looked at the program's website. The California New Start program is linked to, in partnership with another department, the California Workforce Investment Board. So based on what the labor market demands in jobs is what the New Start program trains its participants to get jobs in. So I looked at both of these websites to see what information they have available for people who are, for one, just a citizen trying to figure something out, but as a person interested in the program, what information is accessible through these websites, and how these websites allow me to gain insight on how to become involved or how to participate in this program. So I found that after looking at these websites, So I looked at the CWIB, which is the California Workforce Investment Board website, and they have on there a chart of the jobs available, not the jobs available, but the average wages of these jobs that participants were placed in over the course of 2010-2011, because it was the newest report. And within these average job wages, I noticed that the wages are relatively low, in between the $9 and $10 range. And I found that for women who are trying to regain custody of their kids and trying to come up with money to make deposits to afford a space to receive their children, to create a home, it's important to, yes, provide them jobs, but also provide them jobs that are adequate for their needs. So a lot of the women that are incarcerated are single moms and primary caretakers for their children. So in doing so, these jobs need to take that into account and be able to provide jobs for these women that these women will be able to sustain their families on. And the CDCR website, which is the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, has a brochure. So this is what I looked at. So this is something that they give prisoners upon release to let them know what the program is in case they wanted to partake in the program after they are released, because you can enroll in the program either within the 6 months of prior to release or 6 months after your release. So this is the program, and I looked at the pictures that they have available on the brochure and on the websites, and I'll scroll down so you can see. And I noticed that the pictures and the job descriptions that they have are mostly tailored to jobs that men are employed in. So construction jobs, solar panel installation jobs, mechanic jobs, welding jobs, things like that, are jobs that women are rarely employed in those areas. So I think when I first looked at this program, I didn't assume that it was for women. I assumed it was only for men because of this and because of the other pictures posted on the website. And it wasn't until I asked around and I did extensive research that I found out that this program is employed for both women and men. So I found it extremely concerning that their advertisement brochure doesn't seem to include anything about women. So that was what I found in my content analysis. So the second method I employed was to do interviews, and my goal in doing interviews was to interview administrators in order to understand how the program works and how, from an administrative perspective, they are trying to meet the needs that women of color have, or women in general. The second goal was to interview women within this program to see how successful this program is in meeting the particular needs that they experience and that they identify with. But in trying to do so, my attempts to interview women in the California New Start program have been unsuccessful so far. Women in this program are difficult to reach because they are still in the custody of the state, so they are also a very protected group. Some of my attempts to interview these women to gain access to them, to be able to talk to them or meet them or just see where they're going. I attended AA meetings, Alcohol Anonymous meetings, sorry. And I attended other informational meetings at One-Stop Career Centers for a few weeks to see if I could figure out and meet women that were trying to get into this program. But because leaders of the groups and the workshops switch constantly, I went for 3 weeks, and every time I went, there was a new leader. So I had to re-identify myself and introduce myself in a way that would allow me just to sit in and listen to what was going on. But I was never able to actually find women that were in this program. So what I did is I focused mostly on trying to find administrators within this program that work with it, because I figured, their numbers are on websites. I can call their offices. I can do it. Like, I can find administrators and they'll answer my questions. But it proved a bit more challenging. I did have some success. But what I found is that because this program is linked between two large departments that run statewide, and their offices vary from county to county and city to city, it's difficult to find who is accountable for what functions. So I was trying to figure out what types of jobs women are employed in within this program and what their wages were. So in doing so, I noticed that this program participants for this program are referred by parole officers. So my first attempt was to contact parole offices and see if they could answer some questions on how this program works, or if they could lead me to somebody. But I encountered the same respect that one office would send you to another office, and that office would send you to another one, and no one really knew what office was able to answer the most basic question of, is this program accessible to women as well? And it took a lot of calling around and finding, but I was able to gain one interview, kind of. So another thing that I encountered was the incredible amount of bureaucracy that this program employs, because people in the CDRC, administrators of this program, need clearing from their supervisors in order to agree to do an interview, even if it is with an undergraduate student just asking general questions. And because of that, a lot of them were very hesitant to agree to even do a simple 10-minute phone interview with me. One of the women that I asked, she was a reentry program, she is a reentry program supervisor, manager, and she declined my interview, but she answered my questions as, even though she said that she couldn't interview me, or she couldn't agree to do an interview, she did answer my questions. And so through that, I was able to gain some insight to the program. And even though the questions that she answered were not the important questions that I asked, but it was still, I was still very happy because I was able to see that even though the administrators understand how difficult it is for someone to gain access to this information, and she was a bit lenient in offering me the insight that she could say. So my concluding remarks: this far, the information I've gathered from this program are my preliminary findings. This is not by far a finished project. I find that this program is not centered around the needs of women of color or women in general in their reentry process. In order to really assess the effectiveness of this program in helping women of color, I need more input from women that participate in this program, and which I hope to gain by conducting more interviews once I am able to access these women a little more. And this program needs to provide reports on its progress. It provides a yearly report to the CWIB on what the program has achieved in the year, but the charts in the report do not identify or do not differentiate for race or gender. So it's difficult to see where women fall within this program, and in particular where women of color fall within this program, or where they are. So my preliminary findings, however, are that the California New Start program needs a more effective and easily accessible, informative website, because a lot of the information the only information that I really found was to an office, an opportunity partnership office, and once I called that office, it was just a phone message and nobody answered. And so I find that aside from that, the websites really provide very little information on how to access the program and how to qualify for it. It also needs to develop a more equitable distribution of employment. So if women within this program are finding jobs, the advertisement or the information that they have available to the public does not depict what kind of jobs women are working in within this program. So it's not easy to say what types of jobs they have, because the jobs that are available, or the jobs that seem only available through the training this program provides, are jobs that are mostly that men are mostly employed for. I believe that there are other avenues of employment that are rewarding for women and that should be offered within this program to be a comprehensive program, which it is. That's the goal of this program, to be a more comprehensive program. This program needs to include counseling services, including drug and alcohol rehabilitation. To address women of color in particular, this program should provide assistance to women trying to regain custody of their children. So the way I see this program is that it should answer the most important needs that women, formerly incarcerated women of color, have, which is, one, they're trying to get a job, but they're trying to get a job in order to do things so that they can get their kids back. And I think for the program to be comprehensive, it has to take everything into account. It cannot break and create a separate program, like a separate drug and rehabilitation program aside from this employment program, because it's all linked. If a person comes out of prison and right away falls back into addiction, then they're in no way able to get employment. So for women to be able to get employment, they need to be sober, they need to have a house, they need to have their kids back to give them some motivation to go to work in the morning and remake their lives. These people are coming out of prison after spending time behind bars where their lives are dictated to them in every moment and in every sense. And so they come out really trying to find themselves and trying to create a place for them to be in. And I think that the goal of these programs should be that. It should be centered around what women need in order to make sure that it answers to the needs that they have.